Something that Valorant fans have been wondering since this game was announced is whether or not it's going to be coming to console. And we touched on this previously about 2 months ago, and back then Riot seemed kind of shaky about a potential console release. In an interview with Dr. Lupo and the devs, back when the beta first came out, they told us that they were prototyping it, but they didn't want to make any commitments because they weren't 100% sure if they could get it right.
If the game can't hit what it's hitting right now for PC players, those highs and that feeling of like competitive play, if that feels diminished on another platform, then we wouldn't feel responsible putting the game on those platforms. So I think for us, like, there's definitely a lot of prototyping going on, to see if that's possible, but we wouldn't commit to anything like that until we feel like we could really, really nail it, like we could get it right.
But in another more recent interview with GameSpot and Valorant's executive producer Anna Donlin, the topic of Valorant coming to consoles came up again, and she again confirmed that they were still prototyping it, but she also revealed to us that it might be getting a console version, but it might not be the same exact game if they can't properly convert the live version of the game to consoles and playing with a controller.
Do you have any plans for a console version in the future, or is this going to remain a PC exclusive?
That one's like, I think that's one of the more controversial topics out there that I've seen, and I completely understand why it's controversial internally to our dev team as well. I think what we've kind of said is, so we're prototyping that right now. Like, we are definitely prototyping that right now. But there's a way to play this game and there's a way to experience this game that we're not entirely sure translates completely to console play. And we really believe that the way this game is meant to be played is at this like hyper, like strong level of competitive integrity. And we worry about players feeling like, someone they're playing against has a competitive advantage because of the system they're playing on. And no matter how much work we do, I don't know if we can ever break that perception. So we need to be really, really cautious about moving forward on those types of platforms.
So part of their concern is that they think this game is just meant to be played on PC, partially because of the competitive nature of PC players, but also because they're not sure if they could translate it to consoles and still have a true competitive experience. So they don't want to bring it to consoles just to have it on consoles. They still want it to have a high skill ceiling and they still want it to be a competitive game on console, but if they can't get that, they're not going to go for it. But there's more, and this is the part that I find exciting.
But I do think there's like something to crack there that our team is really excited to crack. And so what we've said is, if we feel like we can deliver this experience on those platforms, we will. Like, we absolutely will. If we feel like we have to compromise on the experience so much so that it doesn't even feel like the same game anymore, then we'll just go make that game and put it on consoles, and we'll have that be something else that we do. But we really want Valorant to stand for a certain type of gameplay and a certain type of experience. And we want that experience to be felt across any platform that it's played on. So it's not a no, for sure. And I think, I've got a bunch of designers who are very, very excited to kind of prove that this is possible for us, but it definitely wasn't the focus out of the gate. And so it's going to be, if we were to do it, it'll definitely be delayed.
So she said that if they feel like they have to compromise for a Valorant experience on consoles to where it almost feels like a completely different game, they'll just go ahead and make that game on consoles instead. So it might not be Valorant exactly the way we know it, but we could still be seeing some version of it on consoles. I'm assuming that we'd probably see a bunch of different balance changes and maybe different map designs even, so that way it would make it a lot more feasible to play on a controller. The way I thought of it was like League of Legends Wild Rift, the mobile version of League, because though it is a mobile game, with a few compromises and tweaks and changes to controls, it's basically the same game, but a different game. And that's what I imagine that they would do with Valorant if it were to come to consoles. And if that is the case, if they do go for a completely separate title for a console release, that would mean that there's no crossplay between PC users and console users, which would remove that unfair aspect, of mouse and keyboard versus controllers, which has obviously been a huge issue in some games recently, like we discussed plenty here on the channel. Looking at you, Fortnite. Though, if the game was more so direct port and not necessarily a separate game, we still probably wouldn't see crossplay anyway because of the game's competitive nature and kind of where Riot stands with competitive integrity and how they want this game to just purely be competitive. So it wouldn't really be an issue anyway. And I know I saw a lot of you in the comments before who were really hoping for this game to come to consoles. And obviously, we don't have anything concrete yet, but it really sounds like Riot is trying to make that experience happen, even if they have to gut a few mechanics or make some big changes for it to work. So let me know down below if you'd like to see this game make its way to Xbox and PlayStation. And if not, let me know why. But of course, I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.